If there's one thing you should know about Arizona State head coach Kenny Dillingham, is that he stands on business even when it comes to the best recruit in his class. I'm talking Israel Briggs. It's Erik and Totri here on a nice little mini pod for PHNX Sun Devils. Now, I should have said former recruit in Israel Briggs because he did commit to Arizona State, Totri, and then he took an official visit to the University of Michigan. And it didn't take long for Kenny Dillingham and company to say bye-bye to the number 6 tight end in the country, according to 24/7 Sports, a 92 overall prospect, 4 stars, best recruit in the class, no longer for Arizona State because he took a visit to Michigan, presumably.
Yeah, this is something that Kenny Dillingham has said a number of times going back to even his first season at the helm at Arizona State, that the Sun Devils are going to recruit and add to the roster players that want to be at Arizona State. You saw it happen last recruitment cycle. Arizona State had an in-state player that they had in their recruiting class. Ultimately, that individual either went on visits to another school or had posted on social media a bunch of stuff about another school. And Arizona State and that individual parted ways. A very similar situation with Israel Briggs, the tight end in that class of 2026, once the highest rated commit for the Arizona State Sun Devils in that class of 2026. But like you said, took a visit to Michigan, was reposting a lot on social media about, potentially being the next big Michigan tight end, et cetera, et cetera. Not that that would have meant that Israel Briggs would have flipped his commitment ultimately, but Kenny Dillingham has been big on, if we are committed to you, then we expect the same level of commitment. Yeah. And ultimately, you just didn't get that from Israel Briggs.
No, listen, if the kid wants to go take visits and go find the best option that he thinks is for him, then more power to him.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
that's the game right now. And I'm not here to dog on like a 17, 18-year-old, right? But this is more about the process of Arizona State.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
And it's also to show that everybody else in the class, too. I mean, doing this in general is a message.
Yeah.
Right. But doing this with a player like Briggs, who is a top 11 player in California, according to 24/7, top 18, according to their composite, top 70 player nationally, and again, a top 10 tight end, almost top 5 in the country. I mean, this is a guy that would have probably came in and played some pretty significant minutes and probably would not have redshirted for a team that's going to be competing for a college football playoff spot for the second year in a row this year, and who knows what's going to happen the year after that. That being said, when you also show this to the guys who are currently at Arizona State, the young players who are waiting to earn their spot, or maybe as you're entering spring portal season, players who are thinking about going. Kenny doesn't have any hard feelings.
No.
He'll publicly, especially if you're transferring from his team, bring you praise and say, this guy is awesome, you should check him out. But it's a bye-bye, and that's why the culture is so important here. And we've seen recruits from this class that have committed to Kenny say they've never seen a culture like Arizona State's. A key part of that is that everybody wants to be there. That being said, as much as it sucks that you're losing a 4-star guy, a high 4-star guy, and Israel Briggs, I'm not worried about Kenny finding any sort of replacement, especially at the tight end position, which they have turned into a very reliable spot for the past year or so.
Yeah, I think if you're looking toward the future at Arizona State, if there was a position group that maybe you could even, that you're fine losing a player, it's definitely that tight end room, right? Heading into this season, you've got the tight end room loaded with Shaman, Kamari, you've got AJ, who is a freshman, you got Fortier, you got Harpole. Like your tight end room is stacked this season. And even looking beyond that, right? All eyes are going to be on AJ in this tight end room for years to come.
Not next season, but the season after that.
You've got Jaden Fortier, right? You've got in that same class of 2026, another 24/7 Sports composite 4-star in tight end Hayden Vercher, who's 6'4", 215. So Arizona State's class of 2026 was already kind of stacked with tight ends in Briggs and Vercher, and then you lose Briggs, but ultimately the tight end room is still going to be fine for years to come with AJ, with Vercher, with Fortier. I'm sure they'll add transfers in the portal, something that they haven't been too scared to do in the portal cycles. They added Kamari Anderson, the former Kentucky tight end, this past offseason. The year prior in the spring window, they added Shaman, who we know had an impact as an all-conference tight end. And they've got a position coach in Jason Mons that people want to play for. Tight ends want to play for. Absolutely. A champion at the high school ranks. And
a Big 12 champion.
And a Big 12 champion as well. So, there's no ill will between Arizona State and Israel Briggs. It is more so just like, hey, the standard's the standard. And at Arizona State, again, if you are going to commit to us, we're going to commit to you.
Right.
And they treat that as a very serious thing, regardless of if you're a 4-star, 5-star, 3-star, or an unranked recruit. They expect to have the same level of standard.
Yeah, standards like in a relationship, right? You're talking to somebody, and some people are like, I don't care if you go and you talk to other people if we're not official. Yeah. Oh, you want to date me, but we're not dating yet. Whatever. No. Not in Arizona State.
No.
In Arizona State, if you say that you're interested, if you say that you want to talk, you want to do whatever, you are committed.
Yeah, there are no situationships in Tempe with Dylan.
No, there's not. And that kind of plays over to the fact of like when you are here and you are surrounded by everybody who wants to be fully bought in, and you look to your left and you look to your right and you say, everybody's on the same page. Everybody's going to put their all into this team, and that's going to make me better. That's attractive for a lot of high school players, especially who are trying to find a home. And my thing with Briggs is, if you still wanted to test the waters, man, go test the waters. What I don't understand is committing and then continuing to test the waters. Personally, I'm not trying to attack his character because he's certainly not the only one to do it. But even from a non-ASU perspective, I just don't get it. My question is, will there ever be a prospect that is undeniable? We're talking top 10 prospect in the country out of high school that commits to Arizona State and then takes another visit. Is that a breaking point for this thing with Kenny to say, you know what, we'll let you do that, but nobody else?
I don't think it really matters on which type of recruit, which position, whatever, right? This is the second recruiting cycle now that Kenny has drawn a line in the sand saying commitment means this to this program.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're committed, you're committed. If you are not even an inch, then that's fine. Again, no ill will. Go fully explore all of those other opportunities, which, again, Israel Briggs, a 4-star tight end in the class 2026. He's going to have plenty of options open, whether that be a school like Michigan, whether that be like a Texas A&M, a Miami, whatever.
LSU,
plenty of offers to schools that certainly can turn him into a great tight end.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, again, until we see that moment, until there is a position like a quarterback or a highly touted running back that opts to try and walk this line, I think you just have to give Kenny and the rest of the staff the benefit of the doubt, saying that, hey, this is what the standard is going to be.
Eventually, I would imagine that stuff like this won't happen, because with Arizona State continuing to be prominent and continuing to be at the forefront of a lot of recruits' minds, and seeing stuff like this with Briggs, who, again, 92 overall as far as his ranking in the 4-star, which is an extremely high 4-star recruit. Now, this next recruiting cycle, or continuing this recruiting cycle, if a player commits, they know no funny business.
Yeah.
And that might stop somebody from committing at first. Go flush out your options and then come commit to us, which is, I think there's no problem with that either. It's going to be interesting to see how that continues to play out. Let us know, what do you think about Kenny Dillingham drawing a line in the sand, even with the most talented recruits? Drop a comment, leave a like here on PHNX Sports, PHNX Sun Devils, live 5 days a week at 1 o'clock. All right here, subscribe, turn notifications on, and we'll see you around.